It's too windy today to paint, so instead, let me tell you a little about this boat.
Our new boat, La Brisa, didn't come with a dinghy, so being on a tight budget, we decided to resurrect the bucket.
This boat is a Hunter 90 sailing dinghy, which we bought new in 2000. We bought her for going back and forth when we anchored out. The bucket was named by our youngest son, Alex. The bucket led a life full of adventure, going to lakes Powell, Meade, Mojave, and Shasta, the California Delta, San Diego, Catalina, and the Channel Islands. She was a fun boat, but just a little fragile. She was tippy and would dump you if you weren't careful, as our friend Scott will testify. She also had a hull-to-deck separation at the bow, which I repaired with epoxy and fiberglass. She was also work to load and transport. When the kids stopped coming with us and the dog died, we stopped taking the bucket on trips, and she fell on hard times. She languished unused and soon became a fixture in the backyard. She was exposed to the elements, the freezing winters and the 110-degree desert summer. The sun did its thing. She developed 3 large cracks in the hull and was unsailable. We thought of junking her, but since we were without a dinghy, what would it hurt if I attempted repairs? The bucket gained a new lease on life and became a great learning opportunity. I drilled each end of the crack to prevent further splitting, and with a Dremel tool gouged out and widened the cracks. I then filled the cracks with epoxy mixed with West System colloidal silica and then with the fairing filler. I faired and sanded the hull and painted it with 3 coats of primer. Ready to put on my coat of brushing solvent, and the way I do that is I take several pieces of paper towel and just wet them all together very generously. That way I don't have to stop and wet each individual towel as I'm working, and it can be one smooth continuous operation. So I'm going to wipe down the dinghy and pick up any loose sanding material, get it ready for the paint. Here goes. trick I'm doing is to not go through a lot of rollers, is I'm wrapping the used roller in foil and then storing it in the fridge. It's been several days, so I'm not sure if this one is still going to be usable. Yeah, too hard. Okay, time for a new roller. Alright, so I've got my new roller. This time I'm using a foam roller instead of the low nap or short nap type roller. I'm not sure about either, which gives me a better finish. They still leave bubbles with this type of paint, so I have to come through, and I'm using a foam brush to tip to get rid of the bubbles. I finished with 4 top coats of Interlux 1 part polyurethane. I know, the label says above water only, but I happen to have it on hand. The bucket won't be in the water permanently, and what could it hurt? I am by no means an expert, but I gained knowledge working on the bucket, and boatworkstoday.com is a great resource that gave me confidence to attempt this repair. What's next in the bucket's new life? I need to remount and bed the pintles for the rudder. Lee will replace the keel trailing edge protector. We'll add new oar locks, and I need to paint on the state registration number. I am also going to try to make a flotation collar to increase her stability. We hope you will join us again in our adventure.